Hey there, everybody. I'm Alex. I've been playing Magic the Gathering for the past 20 to 25-ish years, and starting out with playing with my best friend in his bedroom, building decks out of a giant box of cards that he had. I later went on to play on a local tournament level, though never quite competitively, with other people during the early City of Ravnica block. Um, I later found out that my favorite format was Commander, also known as EDH at the time, because it attracted a more casual audience. This audience was more interested in playing to the strengths of the unique deck and learning the identity of their unique commander instead of trying to win on turn zero. I have a particular love for a style of deck known as group hug or politics. That is to say, a style of deck that is focusing on giving everybody resources, whether it's card draw, mana, land drops, creatures, anything. With I say all of that to say how I'm going to be viewing cards, to let you know how I'm going to be looking at cards in a unique way. So you're going to be getting a perspective from a player who likes group hug, who likes politics, and who likes commander. That being said, today I want to take a look at what I'm loosely going to be calling a cycle of cards, because these are all cards from Prophecy that are enchantments that give your opponents options. We've already looked at the Oath cycle from Exodus, Prophecy. I can't remember. Oh, lordy. They're old. They're old cards. And the same formatting warning is going to come up now because we're looking at 5 unique cards. So prepare for the eye blight. All right. So here we go. We have 5 cards from the Prophecy set. All of these I'm going to call option cards. These are all cards that give your opponents a choice and a unique sort of interaction with the world around them in Magic the Gathering. We are going to start up there. Let's see if we can't get closer. Can we get closer? There. With Samite Sanctuary. Samite Sanctuary is 1 white and 2, and the effect reads, pay 2, prevent the next 1 damage that would be dealt to target creature this turn. Any player may activate this ability. So this is a pretty unique card and a very fun one in my mind. I love the idea that any player can choose to block damage for any creature in play. Now, obviously, nowadays, this isn't going to be terribly useful. You're going to be investing so much mana in making sure that one individual little dumbass doesn't die. And it's not going to be particularly helpful. However, it is a fun option to have on the table if you're running a lot of spot removal, or if you're running, I guess, the next card we can talk about, Task Mage Assembly. Task Mage Assembly is also from Prophecy. It costs 1 red and 2, and it reads, when there are no creatures in play, sacrifice Task Mage Assembly. Pay 2, Task Mage Assembly deals 1 damage to target creature. Any player may activate this ability anytime he or she can activate a sorcery. So, if you have Task Mage Assembly on the field, maybe you can get a little, mana war going on between Samite Sanctuary and Task Mage Assembly. I think that's really, really cute. I think that Task Mage Assembly is significantly more useful than Samite Sanctuary. It allows every player to sort of have a gun at the table. Don't bring a gun to the table, please. Dear God. But it allows every player to have a source of removal. It can really sort of raise the stakes for any individual small creatures that opponents are relying on. If you don't have spot removal in your deck, but the group hug player has Task Mage Assembly on the field, well, suddenly now you can dump way too much mana into getting rid of that 2/2, 3/3, 4/4 commander with their global effect that tends to hurt everyone. Next up is a card we've actually already talked about once, Excavation, right there. Activation reads, tap 1, sacrifice land, draw a card. Any player may activate this ability. Now, I've played with this card before, and I thought it would be used during that last panic moment of the game where you're just about to lose, and you're just like, screw it, I don't need the lands. God forsake the lands. I need answers. But actually, what ends up happening is players will just choose to lose because they don't want to waste their time answering a single problem when they know next turn probably the same problem is going to come up again. Honestly, I thought excavation would be much better than it is, but it just sort of fell flat, unfortunately. Saproling Cluster is 1 green and 1 for an enchantment. I don't know what that symbol's from. I thought it was from Bank in Prophecy, but maybe it's older than that. Who knows? And it reads, tap 1, discard a card from your hand, put a green sampling creature token into play. Any player may activate this ability. I'm torn on this one because I think this ends up being another Gravemaker card, Kingmaker, but for graveyards. It allows you to create chump blockers, which is really nice. It allows you to create sack fodder, really. And most importantly, it allows you to put big creatures into your graveyard. It allows any player to put big creatures into their graveyard, which, if you have cards like Exhume, could be particularly useful for you as the group hug player. You toss away a big board changing, like, whatever it is, I don't know, the mongers. We'll just say a monger because obviously the thing you want to toss away and get back for 2 mana is a monger, which we'll be talking about soon. And then you play Exhume and you get your monger back from the graveyard and everybody else gets a creature and everybody's like, yay! I don't think you're going to be using this with the mongers. They're not that good. They're fine. They're fine. They're great creatures. They're my favorite creatures in the game, but I don't think you'll be recurring them with Exhume. Oh no. Anyway, next up is Endbringer's Revel. Endbringer's Revel is probably my favorite of this loosely named cycle of option cards. It costs 1 black and 2 for an enchantment. Pay 4, return target creature from a graveyard to its owner's hand. Any player may play this ability anytime he or she could play a sorcery. Endbringer's Revel is such a good card because it is recursion not just for you, but for anyone. And there might be players who are relying on having a card in their graveyard on their turn, and you happen to come up before that player. Now, yes, sometimes bringing that creature card back from their graveyard to their hand doesn't change anything, but let's say they have a Grave Titan and 3 mana and an Exhume in hand. Who the fuck plays Exhume? Why? Why would you be playing Exhume? But let's say they have their Grave Titan in the graveyard and they only have access to 3 mana and an Exhume. Endbringer's Revel can kind of foil their plans for at least a short time unless you have Saproling Cluster in play. Actually, in which case they just go, okay, I'm just gonna pitch it again. Strategy's not very good. Anyway, Endbringer's Revel allows you to recur your own creatures. This is one, like the Oath of Ghouls that we talked about before, that it gives everybody an option to let their commander go to the graveyard. If your commander's already died twice, you're going to be paying the 4 for its tax, and then you'll be paying, what, 6, 8, 10 for commander tax? And honestly, nobody wants to be paying 10 in commander tax, so just letting your commander go to the graveyard, you Endbringer's Revel it back to your hand, and you play Endbringer Revels it back to their hand. That sentence feels like a mess. Any player Endbringer Revels it back to their hand and then pays the native mana cost. Honestly, it's a very good card. It's a very fun card. Out of all of these, I would put Endbringer's Revel as the most useful. Having that ability to recur a creature from your graveyard to your hand is really, really good. Any player being able to do so creates a much more chaotic board state, which is, if you're a group hug player, it's going to create the strongest board state, which is exactly what you want. You want your opponents to be doing as well as possible. From there, I would argue, is it Saproling Cluster? Is it Saproling Cluster because it lets you discard a card? Like, it's probably Taskmage Assembly after Endbringer's Revel. It costs 2 mana to deal 1 damage, but if you're out of options in your hand, if there is a particular threat on the field of low stakes, because people don't tend to worry as much about bolt range for their commander anymore, Taskmage Assembly is pretty good. From there, I would say Saproling Cluster is the next best. It's not about the Saproling, it's about the discard. Having the option to just throw cards from your hand is really, really good if you have any sort of recursion, and with the amount of flashback and retrace other recursion in the game, the ability to discard a card from your hand is just, it's really useful. It's pretty good. I would argue that Excavation is more useful than Samite Sanctuary, although, I mean, as far as I've seen in game, my opponents, no, I've played Samite Sanctuary. I don't think people even noticed it was on the field. It it genuinely just got ignored. Poor Samite Sanctuary. It sat there like, hey, will anybody play with me? And everybody was like, actually, they didn't even tell it no. They just didn't even notice. Oh, poor Samite Sanctuary. Oh, I'm sad now. I'm sad for the Sanctuary because it's not a bad card. It's just, it's not very impressive. At least Excavation helps you dig for answers in your own lands. But damn, poor Samite Sanctuary. This is another Oath of Mages moment. I'm just bullying the poor thing. Anyway, hopefully I've not rambled too much. I feel like I'm coming across as somebody who's slowly losing their mind. I swear I'm not. It's already completely gone. But that's going to be it for right now. If you are interested in the perspective of somebody who enjoys EDH, who enjoys group hug, and enjoys politics, hopefully I'm not rambling too much, and the stuff I have to say moving forward is enjoyable.